News Channel 5 network, this is MorningLine with Nick Barris.
Good morning, everyone. Nick Barris here. This is a MorningLine, the big show, coming to you live and direct. Hope you had a good weekend. I know you had a hot weekend. It was sizzling out there. This temperature is crazy. It's crazy out there, and it's going to be hot. All I saw in the weather forecast from Leland was a bunch of 9s. And that's not even counting the heat index, where you might be talking triple digits. Anyway, it's sizzling. We can talk about all kinds of things with regard to that. How about the heat and your pets? Among other things, this morning we're going to talk with Allison Fields, our veterinarian, about not just the heat in your pets, any other questions you have about your pets. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's nice to have Allison on.
It's nice to be here.
She's a good egg. I brought her some eggs from Thelma and Louise, my chickens today. You'll have to let me know what you think.
I will.
I personally monogrammed a couple of
Did
the eggs
you?
for you.
Oh my gosh.
I wrote, "She's a good egg." They're over there. Anyway, I don't know. Can my chickens qualify as pets? Because I consider them to be pets. I just have 2 of them. I don't hold or touch them. I didn't have them when they were small.
Right.
So they're not tame, but they come around me and I feed them, and they're my pets in the backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thelma and Louise. I guess what in your mind, seriously, this is interesting. What qualifies in your mind as a definition of a pet? Could be anything, couldn't it?
It really could. I mean, I think that it's an animal that you enjoy and that it enjoys hanging out with you. I don't know.
Yeah, meaning if you raise livestock, your cows are not necessarily pets, are they?
No, they're not. But I mean, people who raise livestock get attached to, you know, they take care of them. But yeah, they're not. There's not that one-on-one.
Okay, like
I guess the definition also might be is are you going to eat Thelma and Louise?
Right. No.
Right.
No.
So I think maybe that's going to be the pet.
Okay, like horses would be a pet, maybe.
Oh
Pets,
yeah.
Horses. Would a racehorse be considered a pet, like the Kentucky Derby winner? Is that a commodity?
Probably not.
I don't know, but yeah, a lot of people have pet horses.
Right.
You know, people that ride their horses and they're very close to them.
I mean, I think that a thoroughbred horse who's in the Kentucky Derby probably qualifies along the same lines as a police dog. They are owned and cared for and have relationships with their handlers, but they have a job. They are professionals.
Yeah, right.
You know, they are there to do a job, and retirement can be very hard for them because they're not doing their job anymore.
Yeah, makes sense. It's just interesting thinking about pets. I think you're right.
Pet. Yeah.
Anything, you know, that is something that you spend time with, and you know, typically will be cats and dogs. And we'll open up the phone line 737-7587. It is awful hot. Have you seen? You know, and every year, every summer, we always talk about making sure you address your pets in the temperature. Same thing in the winter when it's cold. But have you had any animals come in yet for heat exhaustion or anything that you've seen? I haven't,
and it's so lovely that.
Good.
I mean, when I first started practicing almost 20 years ago, I would see a case or 2 a year.
Okay. Maybe
more of heat stroke. I can't remember, knock on some wood somewhere, seeing one in the past 4 years. Now maybe they're going to the emergency clinics and I'm just not seeing them, but I think that, you know, people are, I think, paying a little bit more attention. You know, I mean, the biggest thing that I have when I drive through my neighborhood at night after work, I see all these people out walking their dogs. Yeah. And all I want to do is roll down my window and get my megaphone and be like, this is the worst time to walk your dog. But I don't. Because what happens is we're all gone during the day, but the heat is radiating down into the asphalt, which holds the heat. And as soon as the ambient temperature starts dropping, the pavement starts releasing its heat because now it's cooler here than it is here. So it
gets hotter.
Yes. So
I didn't think of that.
Walk out on your street with bare feet at 5:30. 6 o'clock. Can you walk on that? No. Now, your dog is walking on that. They can burn their pads. But the other thing is that they're so close to the ground that all of that heat that's radiating up is all on their undersides and is heating them up really rapidly. So between like 5 and 7 is really bad on pavement for dogs.
Okay.
So everybody wants to walk their dog when they get home from work, and it's huge. And most vets close 5:30 or 6. some of the emergency clinics open at 6:30. I think most of them open at 6 now. It used to be that there was an hour in Nashville that you really couldn't get any emergency care. Nobody was, everybody closed at 6, the emergency clinics open at 7. So, I mean, now we're a little bit better covered time-wise, but that's, you know, a really bad time to walk your dog.
Yeah, is it a little bit better if for some reason that's the only time you can do it, to take them on a grassy meadow in the shade? That's
because there's so many grassy meadows in Nashville.
No, I'm thinking that, well, out where I'm at, or in your yard, or whatever. If you have a larger yard, or a park somewhere where you can walk on the grass, then that, obviously, you don't have the pavement.
Our recommendation typically at this time of year is early in the morning, late in the evening.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
that makes sense.
Just give that pavement time to release its heat.
It sounds to me, if you had to do it, none of these times are good, but it would be better to do it before the heat up top gets down where the bottom starts radiating more. Like, it would almost be better, not that it's good, to walk them at 1 o'clock as opposed to 4. Because at that point at 4, that heat from the concrete's really cooking.
But it's still going to burn their pads. Yeah, I know. It's hard. And everybody out there is like, well, I walk my dog every day at that time and it's just fine. And it very well may be. I am not saying that no dogs can tolerate it, but I've seen dogs with all of their little pads have burned off and are peeling.
Yeah, a couple of things made me think of it this weekend. I went out to the lake. I was going to paddleboard, and I had to carry my paddleboard down to the lake. And a short distance, at that point I put it in and hop on, so I go barefoot. And walking across, I've got burns on the bottom of my feet. And literally, it's not horrible, but they're bubbling up. And I'm like, and that was because I was, ow, 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 but I had the board over me, and I jumped in the water real fast, and the water's actually kind of warm, didn't help much. And the other thing is, just stepping outside some this weekend, in my bathing suit, all of a sudden I'm feeling sweat. Imagine, I looked at our pugs, which we keep inside because it's too hot for them, but
they're heat intolerant.
Any dog is wearing a fur dang coat. A fur coat, folks.
Well,
and they're out in this. Imagine going outside in the heat yesterday in a fur coat.
It's a little bit different. Their coats actually provide some insulation from the heat.
Yeah, but I still think, God, if they're running, and it's you're right, it does provide insulation as opposed to
shaving them
would be bad. Yeah, they get burned. But aside from that, though, I just think, gosh, these poor animals are in fur coats. I know there's insulation, but it's just they can overheat so quick.
Yeah. They absolutely can.
Yeah, so, well, I'm glad to hear that you're not seeing as many of them coming in right now. People are being careful. Let's take a quick call before we go to break from our buddy Brian, who's going to talk to us about his cat. Brian, good morning.
Hold on, buddy, say hi. Say hi, buddy.
Was that him? Okay, I heard him.
Good boy. Did you hear him?
Yeah, that was good. I heard him meow.
Yeah, he's not really. I don't know. He's not really that active when it gets so hot. Even though my air conditioning just went out, and I called the AC guy. It was out this weekend because it was blowing like cool and not cold air, so I got all the fans running. And like you said, he's got a fur coat, but she said that the fur coat, it's not, because he's a Russian blue with short hair. He's big, about 14 pounds.
Yeah.
I put an ice cube in his water. I got the fans going. I'm waiting for the AC person to come. I'm a little concerned about him. And I noticed outside all the little, sometimes I got a 30-foot leash and I walk the cat. I know she said she doesn't recommend walking cats. But I walk around and I use that Brevecca, but I see in the grass all the bugs coming up. So I'm not going to be bringing them out for a while. And that stuff, it keeps them from getting the fleas on them. But, like, is there a certain point where if the flea gets on them, then, like, I don't know if I'm explaining it right. Does that stuff keep them off, or how does that work?
No, none of the topicals keep fleas and ticks off of dogs and cats. There's really nothing that puts an invisible barrier around that makes sure that they can't jump on them, but it kills them when they jump on. So all of these products rely on the insect getting on the animal and then usually taking a bite, and then they die.
Okay, so that's the way it works.
Yeah.
They die and then they'll fall off.
I think Advantix has a mosquito repellent in it, and it does repel mosquitoes, but there's nothing out there that is like, you know, you put your animal in a bubble and it goes outside and it can't get any bugs. Basically, they have to get on the animal and then they die.
And then they die fairly quickly once they're on them, before they can lay eggs or something, right? That's the idea?
It depends on the product. Some products have like a 4 to 8 hour kill time. Some have a 12-hour kill time. So yeah, they're all pretty quick these days.
As we go to the break, are there some dogs, for whatever reason, maybe are just a little bit immune to fleas and ticks for some reason, the fur or the scent or anything, or is it pretty much all animals are susceptible to them?
I think all animals are susceptible to them. I think it depends on where you live. If you live in a home that has a fenced-in yard and you don't have, you're not back up to the woods, you don't have wildlife going through your yard may not have fleas.
Okay.
And so if your dog doesn't ever leave your yard, if you don't go on walks around the neighborhood, he hangs out in your yard, in your house, and goes to the vet and kind of things like that, then you probably aren't ever going to have fleas there until some animal comes into your yard with fleas, or your dog leaves, goes somewhere else and picks up fleas.
Yeah.
So there are some animals that just, I see dogs that are not on flea control that have no sign of fleas, have never had a problem with fleas, mainly just because their environment is not infected.
I was just thinking about, we have a fairly large yard, and a lot of times in the summers we get ticks and fleas out there. But we used to have guineas, and now I've got Thelma and Louise. And when I let them out, you see, and they just roam a certain area.
Right.
And you think, well, how much can they really? They make a little bit of a difference.
They make a big difference. Guineas will really, but chickens as well.
Yeah, they poke around.
What happened to your guineas?
We just had them a long time ago. Eventually, they just either fluttered off, or who knows what happened. But that was a long time ago. So now we've had the chickens for 2 years, and they do. You let them out, and they eat it all. And then I go into the bush, and I had 2 ticks this weekend.
Yeah.
I caught them, but they're there, man, everywhere.
Yes, we were loading up with the bug spray this weekend.
Indeed. Yeah, that's right. If you're out in the woods, we'll take a break on that note. When we come back, we've got other calls. Ronnie and a couple others in there. Lines are open. 737-7587. Ask a Vet. More right after this.